Once upon a time, in a quiet village called Kuru, everyone lived happily. The village was surrounded by tall, lush trees, and the people there followed special rules. One very important rule was that all the girls had to remain virgins until they got married. This rule was very special to the people of Kuru, and they made sure all the girls followed it carefully. The parents in Kuru were proud of this tradition. They believed their daughters were pure and cherished this belief deeply. Often, they would boast among themselves, saying things like, "My daughter is pure." Just like all the girls in our village, it was a point of pride and honor for them, a sign of their good upbringing and respect for their customs. However, one day something unexpected happened. A terrible misfortune befell the village. To lift this curse of misfortunes, it was revealed that only a true virgin could be the solution. There was also a promise that the virgin maiden who helped with the sacrifice would marry the prince, and her parents would receive many gifts and money. Excited by the prospect of their daughters becoming royal in-laws, every parent eagerly brought their daughters to the palace. They were sure that their girls were virgins and were eager to win the prize and restore peace to the village. As the crowd gathered, Abash stepped forward with a large pot in his hands. He addressed everyone, saying, "In this pot is a special necklace blessed by the gods. Only a true virgin maiden can pull it out. This is the test the gods have given us to find the ones who will carry the sacrifice." The girls lined up nervously while their parents watched with confidence. One by one, the girls dipped their hands into the pot, but each time they pulled out nothing. The air grew tense as the first girl tried, then the second, and so on. Each girl came up empty-handed, and the murmurs among the crowd grew louder. Then it was the turn of the chief's daughters, known for their grace and beauty. The first daughter stepped forward confidently, but she too could not find the necklace. The second daughter tried and failed as well. Finally, the youngest daughter reached in, her hands trembling, but she also came up empty. The villagers were stunned. Whispers filled the air. How can this be? Not even the chief's daughters, the elders, exchanged worried glances, puzzled and concerned. They had always believed that the girls in the village were pure and upheld the traditions they cherished. But now it seemed something had gone terribly wrong. News of the failed test spread quickly through the village, causing disbelief and shock. The girls started shouting, "It's not our fault, it's Auntie Isima's," rumors flew. Attention turned to Isimi, the stranger from the city. Villagers began to murmur, blaming her for the chaos and misfortune that had befallen their once peaceful home. "She came here and changed everything," an elder woman muttered. "Our girls used to follow the traditions. Now look at what has happened." Another villager agreed, saying, "Isime brought city ways to our village. She made the girls forget who they are." And so the story begins. Long ago, a girl named Isimi came to visit her aunt in the village of Kuru. Isima was from the big city and was very beautiful. She always wore bright and revealing clothes that caught everyone's eye. Isimi walked through the village with confidence, like she was a queen, and everyone noticed her, especially the men. As Isimi walked by, the men would whisper, "Wow, look at her. She's so beautiful." The village girls watched her too. They admired how she dressed and walked, wishing they could be like her. "I want to wear clothes like Isima," one girl said. Another girl added, "She looks so confident and pretty." The girls in the village didn't know much about Isimi but were fascinated by her. They liked how she seemed so different and exciting. They started to wonder what it would be like to have all the attention that Isimi got. "Isimi is so cool," said one of the girls. "I want to be just like her." They watched her closely, hoping to learn more about her and maybe become like her someday. But little did they know, Isimi had a secret that would change everything in the village. Isimi had a secret that no one in the village knew. The men who admired her beauty were giving her gifts and money, but it wasn't just because she was pretty. Isimi was meeting with these men in secret, and in exchange for their gifts, she spent time with them in a way the village would not approve of. One day, Asabi, the chief's daughter, became curious about why Isimi always seemed to have new things and money. Asabi decided to follow Isimi quietly to find out what was going on. she saw Isime meeting with a man in a hidden spot, and then Isime walked away with a small bag of money. Asabi was surprised and thought, so this is Isime's secret. The men give her gifts for being with them. She wondered if she could get gifts too. Asabi had always been a good girl, following the village's rules, but now she was curious. She wanted to feel special like Isime did. The next day, Asabi saw a young merchant who had been looking at her for a while. She decided to try what she had seen Isime do. Asabi talked to the merchant and agreed to meet him in secret. The merchant gave her gifts and money just like he did with Isime. Asabi was excited and felt special. This is so easy, she thought. I can get nice things too. She felt like she had discovered something amazing and couldn't wait to tell her friends. Little did she know, this secret was going to cause big changes in the village. Asabi couldn't keep her discovery to herself. She told her friends about Isime's secret and how easy it was to get gifts and money from men. All you have to do is spend time with them and they give you nice things, Asabi explained. Her friends were shocked at first, but then they became curious too. Soon more girls in the village started to follow Isime's example. They began wearing makeup and dressing in ways that would catch the men's attention. The girls wanted to feel special and get gifts just like Isime and Asabi. They whispered to each other, if Isime and Asabi can do it, why can't we? Isime noticed the change in the village girls and saw an opportunity. She started organizing meetings between the girls and the men, taking a share of the gifts and money the girls received. I'll set everything up, and all you have to do is be nice to the men, Isime told them. The girls trusted her and followed her instructions. They loved the attention and gifts they got from the men. They felt special and enjoyed the new things they could buy with the money. They started to forget about the village's important traditions of staying pure and respecting themselves. The excitement of receiving gifts made them forget the values they had grown up with. As more and more girls joined in, it became like a secret club. They kept everything hidden from their parents and the village elders. The girls thought they were just having fun, but they didn't realize the trouble they were getting into. The secret was spreading and changing the village in ways no one expected. More girls started to meet with the men, not just for the gifts but for the attention and excitement it brought them. They felt admired and special, and that feeling became more important than the gifts themselves. The village elders and parents had no idea what was happening. They continued with their daily lives, believing that the village's traditions were still being followed. The elders often spoke about the importance of purity and respect, thinking the girls were listening and following their teachings. They didn't know that the strong tradition of keeping the girls pure until marriage was being broken. The girls kept the secret well hidden. They acted normally around their families, attending village gatherings and participating in daily chores, but behind closed doors, they were living a different life that went against everything the village stood for. The taboo of meeting with men in secret had become a norm among the village girls. They no longer felt shame or guilt about their actions. Instead, they saw it as a new way of life that gave them freedom and attention. One day, something terrible happened in the village of Kuru. Plants began to wither, their leaves turning brown and dry. The animals, usually so full of life, started falling sick and dying. Worst of all, the villagers themselves began to suffer. Many people fell ill with strange symptoms that no one had seen before. It was a dark and frightening time for everyone. The villagers were scared and confused. They didn't know what was causing the sudden misfortune, as they had always followed their traditions and respected the gods, or so they thought. Desperate for answers, they decided to visit the oracle, Agaj, who was known for his wisdom and connection to the spiritual world. The villagers gathered at Abaji's home, their faces filled with worry. The elders spoke first, explaining the situation and asking Agaj what they could do to stop the curse. Agaj listened carefully, his eyes closed as if deep in thought. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "The gods are angry," Agaj said solemnly. "They are displeased with the village, because the traditions have been broken. The purity that was once held dear has been lost. To appease the gods, a big sacrifice must be made. 2 virgin maidens must carry the sacrifice to the sacred altar." The villagers gasped. The idea of a sacrifice was serious, but even more so was the mention of virgin maidens, the village elders who had always believed that all their girls were pure, were now faced with a troubling realization. They would have to find these 2 virgin maidens quickly to save their village from the terrible curse. The elders were nervous but determined. They knew that the gods had spoken, and they had to follow their instructions. They called for the girls to come forward for a test, believing that the oracle's words were true and that they would find the virgins among them. The girls, who had been living in their secret world, were frightened and confused. They had no idea why the test was being done or what it meant for them. They were led to the palace, where a special test would be conducted to find out who the true virgins were. Each girl was asked to reach into a pot filled with sacred water, and if they could pull out a special necklace, it would prove their purity. One by one, the girls tried their luck, but none of them were able to pull out the necklace. The tension in the air grew as each attempt ended in failure. The villagers watched anxiously, hoping that one of their daughters would be able to save the village. But as each girl failed, it became clear that something was wrong. The whispers grew louder, and the villagers began to question what had gone wrong. They wondered if their daughters, whom they had always believed to be pure, had been hiding something. The test continued, and even the chief's daughters, who were known for their grace and beauty, were unable to retrieve the necklace. The disappointment among the villagers grew, and they began to suspect that the problem lay not with the test, but with the purity of their daughters. The situation became dire, as it seemed that none of the girls could prove their virginity. The villagers started to panic, their hope fading as the day went on. Amidst the chaos, rumors began to spread. Some people began to blame Isimi for the problems in the village. They said that her influence had led the girls astray, causing them to forget their traditions and values. The whispers grew louder, and soon Isime found herself at the center of the villagers' anger and frustration. They believed that her presence had been the catalyst for the changes that had led to their current predicament. The villagers felt betrayed and angry. They demanded answers and looked for someone to blame for the loss of their cherished traditions. The story of Kuru, the village of tradition and pride, took a dark turn as the consequences of breaking their sacred rules unfolded. The once proud community faced the challenges of reconciling their lost values with the harsh reality that had emerged. As the village grappled with its misfortune, the tale of Isimi and the impact of her influence would forever be remembered as a turning point in their history, marking the end of an era of purity and the beginning of a new chapter filled with uncertainty and change.